Every so often, I see someone online, especially people with interesting opinions here on YouTube, say that America should just nationalize its railroads. It's ridiculous that we have these four monopolies, as they call them. And on the surface, it sounds simple enough. The government takes over the railroads, runs them like a public service, problem solved. I've even heard another suggestion where the railroads will stay in business, but the government will take the land that the rails are on and lease it back to the railroads. One question almost nobody seems to ask, and I think the people preaching this stuff have never even thought about: who will replace the property taxes? I'm Mark Magana, and this is Railroad Economics, where we explain why railroads do what they do and how the business really works. Today, I want to look at one consequence of nationalizing America's railroads that almost never gets discussed. And it might just be my real estate investor brain going here, but nobody ever seems to talk about this. Back in the 1950s, Southern Pacific produced an educational film that made an interesting claim. In many counties, the railroad was one of the largest property taxpayers, if not the largest property taxpayer. At first, that sounds like corporate bragging. I questioned that. But the more I thought about it, the more it made sense. Think about what a railroad actually owns, not just a pair of steel rails going down the countryside. Those miles and miles of tracks are sitting on dirt that is just a narrow strip, maybe, but it translates to thousands of acres, hundreds of miles of right of way, bridges, tunnels, yards, maintenance facilities, intermodal terminals, office buildings, signal systems, communications infrastructure, fueling facilities. That is an enormous amount of property that all has to pay property taxes. Property taxes are a ginormous bill for the railroads. And unlike a factory that can relocate someday, a railroad's infrastructure is permanently tied to the communities it serves. Every year, those property taxes go to help pay for things like schools, county government, fire departments, police, libraries, road departments, and other local services. Exactly where the money goes varies from state to state and county to county, of course, but the point is the same in all 50 states. Well, I guess not Hawaii since they don't have a railroad, but my point stands. The railroad isn't just moving freight, it is also helping fund the local government. Now, let's imagine those railroads became federally owned. This is where things get, let's, the nicest word I guess would be interesting. Federal property is not subject to local property taxes. So if railroad assets are no longer privately owned, the property tax revenue disappears. Poof. Millions and millions and millions of dollars for counties gone. Now, before anyone starts typing in the comments, I'm not saying counties would instantly double everyone's property taxes. That would be the argument on the right, which there are other options, but I do agree. Generally speaking, people's property taxes would probably go up, but there are other options. Government could cut spending because they're so good at doing that. They could receive more money from the state. Congress could even create a program to reimburse local governments. But here's the part that never changes: the money still has to come from somewhere. If Washington sends replacement money to the counties, it's still taxpayer money. If the state sends more aid, it's still taxpayer money. If the county raises property taxes, well, then it's definitely taxpayer money. Nationalization doesn't eliminate the bill, it changes who writes the check. And that's the part I almost never hear discussed. Most conversations about nationalizing the railroads focus on service, or ticket prices, or executive pay, or profits. I really never heard anyone stop and ask what happens when one of the biggest property taxpayers in a county just disappears. That's a real economic question. As someone who spent nearly 3 decades investing in commercial real estate, that's where my mind goes. Whenever someone proposes changing who owns a major asset, I don't just ask whether it's a good idea. I ask what happens to the revenue. Who pays now? Who pays afterwards? And what are the unintended consequences? Because economics has a funny way of reminding us that every policy has a cost. Sometimes the biggest costs aren't the ones people are arguing about. They're the ones nobody has even thought to ask. And that's exactly why understanding the economics behind the railroad business matters. This industry is much more crucial to the United States of America than almost anyone seems to give it credit for. Thank you for watching Railroad Economics. If you enjoyed this video, if it was thought provoking for you, if you agree with it, disagree with it, I'd sure appreciate a comment, a like. Feel free to subscribe. All the YouTube guys ask you to do that because it really does help out the channel. I'll see you next time.